Lads, we have just finished Veilguard no more than 10 minutes ago, and I'm going to give you my 100% review. Finished everything in the game. And if you're looking on screen now, that's me drawing a penis in the sand. It's probably the most fun you can have in the game. Without a doubt. But let me get into it. There's going to be spoilers. I'm not going to hold anything back. I'm going to tell you my exact thoughts and feelings without any holds barred. So, lads, the game's dog shit. I would not recommend it. It has some redeeming features, but those features aren't redeeming enough to get away from the absolute absurdity in below mediocrity. The lack of role-playing from an RPG and the devastatingly bad dialogue throughout these 62 hours that it took me to finish the game. Nothing can redeem this game. It's really sad. I can say my disappointment is immeasurable. But here we go. Let's start off with the positives. Lads, I enjoyed the combat. The combat's a distinctly mediocre affair. It's nothing special. It doesn't do anything unique or exciting. It's just there. It feels okay, but it does have its issues. My biggest issue with the combat as playing a warrior is that sometimes the charge attacks, charged heavies, charged lights, they just don't work. Sometimes you are in a combat situation, it's not as tight. The combat system's not as tight as it should be. In the button prompts, the button inputs, there's something wrong with it. They need to patch it. It's not right. You want to charge up a heavy attack, sometimes your character will just stand there like an absolute lemon waiting for the end times doing absolutely nothing. And you have to repeat press the button to get it to activate. I don't know what's wrong with it. I've read things online that other people have had the same issue. It's not just me. You won't be able to see it on screen, but if you're playing the game, you'll feel it. Other than that, I like the skills. I like the impact the skills have. I like Sparta kicking, drop kicking people into the abyss. I quite enjoyed building my character, although it's a bit of an illusion because the skill tree doesn't really change the way you play your character. The equipment does. If you find unique items that you can equip on your guy, those are the things that's going to have the biggest impact on how you play things. If you just go down the skill tree route, there's not really any modifiers that change the way you play. It's just either more damage, more status effects, different style of skills. So make of that what you will, whether it's good or bad. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it for what it was. The worst thing about the game, I know everybody needs to know this, is you play Dragon Age games for the role playing. There is zero, nada, nothing, no role playing whatsoever. Do not be deceived. Do not let anybody tell you otherwise. This is not a role playing game. You don't have any dialogue choices. You don't have any impact on your teammates, your surroundings, outside of main missions. There's one choice in the game early on where you choose which city to save and the other city gets obliterated. It makes no difference. It's only a cosmetic difference in a few lines of dialogue. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. When I talk about role-playing in games, what I actually mean is when I talk to people, I want to have an impact on them and maybe have some sort of influence on my teammates on whether they like what they say, don't like what they say. They might say, you're being a bit of a twat here. You're letting these people die for treasure. Or they want to say, I like what you did because you saved those people. And then that will change the way they evolve over time. Every single companion in this game is hard written to be the same whether you're there or not. You can't change anything. If you do get the option, if you do get posed a dialogue option, there's nothing that can pull a teammate up. You can't disagree with them. You can only agree with them or tell them to get on with whatever they're saying. You are only ever monologued at. That's it. You can't influence anybody or any situation. It's devastatingly disappointing. Let's stick with the companions. I hate the way they have formatted the way you go through companion quest lines. And that will go on to because of some of the gameplay elements that they've overused in the game. I'll mention that in a moment. So, the companion quest lines are quite staggered. They might have an exclamation mark over their head. You'll go and talk to them and then they'll give you a quest. Most of those quests will be pick 4 flowers, interact with 4 different things, pick 4 truffles out of the grass, and then that quest is over. But to get to that quest, you would be expected to travel out to a different environment, walk through the map until you get the quest starter, start the quest, do that dogshit fetch quest, and then you have to travel back to the lighthouse, which is the hub, and do that all again for the next stage in the quest. Sometimes it will tell you to go to a location. You'll get there, and it won't be a side quest. You'll have to press X to have a conversation. By conversation, what I mean is they'll monologue at you, and that will be the end of that. There's too much of that. There's not enough actual quests. Now, don't get me wrong, towards the end of each companion quest line, the quests are they're quite, lads, because this bar's so low for this game, when I say quite good, what I mean is distinctly mediocre. The quests are quite good when you get towards the end of the companion quest lines. They're normally unique quests and they have a unique boss to fight. Some of the bosses are quite good. Some of the bosses are unique, but there's not enough of them. And well, actually, we're fighting a boss on screen here, but it's just a reskin, a hardened version of the enemy we fought a million times before it. Case in point. And at the end of every companion's quest line, you will have a choice. Now, when I say you have a choice, do I mean you have a choice? Do you have any impact on what's happened? Does anything you've done up until then impact anything? No, it doesn't. Because it's a linear experience. You get posed with the option, and I'm going to use Nev for an example, because Nev, I like Nev. I'll explain why in a minute. At the end of Nev's quest line, you get an option to have her remain in the shadows and rule from the shadows, which is what we chose, or have her be the face of Docktown, the face of the movement, to lead the people to victory. What does that choice impact? What does it influence? Absolutely nothing. You only ever get choices in this game towards the end of a quest line when it doesn't matter. Choices only matter when you get them early in a quest line, so you've had some sort of influence how things go. Just having an option to pick either or when you get to the end of a quest is just dog shit. It's not a choice, it's not role playing. I think it's just been completely lost on them. And the only thing it gives you by making these choices is either a different set of armor or a different permanent passive ability, which is classed as the ultimate ability for getting your companion to the end of their quest line. They're the only two things that you get. Doesn't change anything in the story, doesn't change anything in the dialogue. Maybe 1 or 2 sentences, but it doesn't matter. You've got no impact. You've got no influence. Whereas the way it should have been done is if we were, for example, on Nev's questline to be the leader of Docktown, we should have had different scenarios, situations where we got to talk to people, maybe make some choices, and then those choices would have led up to Nev making her own mind up of whether she wants to rule from the shadows or whether she needs to be the face of the movement. Not just asking us, oh, well, what do you need me to be? As the player to make that choice. That's not our choice to make, that's Nev's choice. But we should have had influence in that up until then. Okay. Nev's romance, all the romance options in the game, lads. We chose for 59 hours up until we got the romance scene, every romance option with Nev. None of them seemed romantic. They were just arbitrary options to make it so the game knew who you were romancing. Pretty boring. In the options menu at the start of the game, there's an option for nudity on or nudity off. Obviously, we went with the nudity on because we want to see some lovely areolas. We got the romance scene, and she was wearing clothes. No titties, no nothing, no nudity. I immediately went to the options menu to see if we had accidentally turned it off, which we hadn't. A quick Google search brought up that yes, in fact, although there is a nudity filter in the game, there's actually no nudity in the game. Yet another rug pull. We've been rug pulled the roleplay. We've been rug pulled the titties. Well, lads, if you're playing the game to see some titties, this is not the game for you. Now, I did think that the 5 main missions of the game were good. It was like a typical mission that you would have in an action game where visceral action things were happening. It was a lot of fun. We fought some good bosses on them. But Early on, you go to a mission where you fight a dragon. First dragon you fight in the game. The second dragon we fought, we found via a side quest that we were underleveled for. So we came back. We were still underleveled when we beat it. But that's the time when we got to learn the dragon's moveset. Upon learning the dragon's moveset, arguably the biggest, best bosses and hidden bosses you can find in the game, which we did find, you realize that they've got the copy-paste moveset. They never differ. They've got the exact same foundation where all the attacks are the same, they've just got different colors. Every time you get it down to, every time you kill 33% of its health bar, it flies away and does something. Exactly the same for every dragon in the game, including the ones in the main story. It's just so bad. It's so dog shit. You might ask, well, what are the bosses do you fight in the main story? Well, I'm going to tell you. The two elven gods that you release after Solus gets relegated to a talking head in the story, Elganon and Gillinane. We've played the whole game getting bombarded with dog shit to fight these bosses. And what did we get? Well, Gillinane, she was a boss where you just had to kill 20 blight testicles. Hit them once, by the way. You just hit them once. And then she was dead. She wasn't a boss battle. She was what we've done for every single side quest in the game. Either collect these things, da-da-da, blow up these blight testicles, da-da-da, blow up these blight crystals. That's what that boss was. And probably about 50% of the main companion questline bosses are also the same as that, with half of them being quite unique and interesting. I did not expect that from a main boss. It's terrible. We got to the last boss. While the last boss is unique, he's just a bullet hell. Nothing we haven't seen before. Nothing fun. Nothing grand. Bit boring. Not a good way to finish your game. But I thought that we were going to be able to fight Solus because of how the story played out. And there was even an option. We were posed with an option. Fight Solus. And we took that option. Did we get to fight Solus? No, we didn't. No, we didn't. We got hit with a cutscene where we didn't even get to fight the main bad guy. Terrible. Terrible. Now we're going to get onto the biggest problem of the game. And that is the writing, the dialogue. It pains me to my core when anybody speaks because they're so Disney-fied. They're so happy, happy, joy, joy, unicorns and rainbows. Nobody's got any issues. Nobody's got any dark past. They're just dog shit and boring. And two of the biggest culprits are Emmerich and Davrin. And the only reason they've been put in the game is because they've got little Disney companions. Davrin's got a griffin, and Davrin's entire quest line is just about walking through the forest with this griffin, feeding it truffles, collecting sticks so it can build a nest or whatever bullshit, and that's it. It's mind-numbingly boring, terrible. Emmerich's also got a little companion. He's got a little skeleton companion, makes silly noises. It's very foolish. And a lot of his quest lines are picking up flowers and putting them on graves, while Emmerich and his little companion talks mad shit to you. It's dog shit. Tash, the biggest controversy of the game because she never stops talking about being non-binary. I cringe every time she talks. She could have been an amazing character. I like the idea of a big canary beast, but she's just a child in a woman's body, and it doesn't go anywhere. You can't influence her to be a better person. You just have to mollycoddle her. There. Everything's gonna be all right. You just keep thinking really silly things, and we'll just continue on. And I will just positively affirm everything you say, and that's the same for every companion. That's what it is, lads. So, you know my feelings on the game. It is not worth your time or money. If I was to play this game again, if I was forced to play this game again at gunpoint, I would play it by skipping every single line of dialogue and just enjoying the combat for what it is. Lads, that's it. You know my feelings. I'm not going to waste any more of your time. Don't buy the game. Dog shit. It's terrible. Not recommended. It has... If you remember a game called Sacred 2 from back in the Xbox 360 days, it was also on PC. It was an excellent action RPG isometric. Then they released Sacred 3. In Sacred 3 was sacrilege. It was the worst mobile action dog shit no RPG game that I've ever seen. This game has been Sacred 3'd. They've took Dragon Age in the Sacred 3 direction of taking it away from its roots, and it's no longer a Dragon Age game. It's just the best way I can describe it is the most you're going to be doing in this game, because the majority of the game is side quest and listening to mad shit. It's a really cheap Chinese MMO design style mission game. Collect these things, destroy these fucking blights for 50 hours. It's terrible, lads. Bad. Hate it. Don't play it. See ya.